No, man.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
We're recording. I've made a habit of looking to make sure which episode we're on, and I fucked up. 24? We're calling it 24. Josh Bryant's here. Ron's not.
What the fuck?
He hasn't been fired from his real job, but I guess he's been fired from the pod.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Josh and Ron in the same room. So.
Oh, no.
You could. Have you been?
No, but that's a solid point.
Yeah.
Josh is the Clark Kent.
I know how much you guys stateside love a good conspiracy theory. So.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, fuck. Why? It's not getting any better here, boys. I feel like on Ron's behalf, I have to be sad about it because Ron's usually right.
Don't worry, he doesn't watch the episode, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right.
So
he might on this one.
We can say whatever we want.
The best part of this joke, we've never published an episode, but Ron wouldn't know. we just tell him. We just tell him
what started as a 2024 April Fool's joke just kind of got a bit carried away.
It's out of hand.
So we've dived down. I caught up with Josh last week, and he's made the point that he's one of our 6 listeners. So we've dived into our listener pool. So be careful, I guess, if you're one of the 6 and one of us can't make it, you might just get put in the game.
Yeah, and poor Ron. It's not his fault. Ron has a real job.
See, I wore the punk rock safety T-shirt as well because I know that Ben paid for half of it to come to me.
That's right, and the sticker. I had to coach him through the sticker
and the postage.
Cocaine water. Yes,
excellent. So, Josh, tell us about yourself. I don't know.
Oh man. So Josh Bryant.
Yeah, that's good enough, Josh.
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay, cool. I'm not Ron. I'm not Ron. I don't have a PhD. No, I'm basically a safety practitioner leading a team in a company called Mitchell Services. Really small team with fuck all budget, but a lot of will. So, I work for a company called Mitchell Services at the moment until this episode comes out, probably.
Come on, Josh. A bit humble. Not just a team, but the team, the Australian Workplace Health and Safety Team of the Year 2024, as judged by our esteemed professional institute. So we're in the present.
Judged by Mitchell Services.
We're in the present of greatness.
It's 2023. I don't want to take anything away from last year's winner. So yes, thank you.
Oh, was it 2023?
It was 2023.
No, it's like yesterday.
Fucked up since then. This is always after the first album.
I work basically for a mine services provider, so a drilling company. I look after 800 people in Australia and Papua New Guinea. And so, I've full responsibility for the risk I report. I did report to the CEO probably until this episode as well. But no, I'm on a leadership team, but we work for, at the moment, probably 25 different clients. So it's a very challenging role, and as of today, I've worked with them for about 9 years.
Nice. That's 25 different people that can call you a boss and get you sacked.
Absolutely, and they probably do try.
Excellent.
What's more now?
What's going on behind you there, Josh?
Yep.
Look, it's punk rock safety, right? So I had to go to the punk rock feel, and I went to the number one. So I had Blink 182, and I was just like, no, I want an Aussie flavor. So this is a band called Frenzal Rhomb. Amazing. I've seen them live a couple of times as well. Just wanted to give the listeners maybe something to add to their Spotify playlist. I know Ron's the only one who uses Apple Music, so for everyone else who uses proper music channels, give Frenzal Rhomb a listen. Amazing.
Excellent. Sweet.
And their lead singer had a tapeworm in his head after eating a vegetarian burrito, so there's a lesson for vegetarians as well.
Or American politics. It's all the same.
And the doctor, Lindsay's vegan as well, so there's something going on in that band in the last few years that's cause for some concern. So when we got on before the show, Josh and I just started pissing ourselves laughing. Ben couldn't figure out what was going on. But I've got the same band. I've got the same band behind me. But I got the 2024 version there, Jay and Lindsay, the Doctor. And I thought I was doing the same thing, Josh. I thought a bit more Australian. And we're only for those recording where, well, in the States now it's still Australia Day, but yeah, Triple J's Hottest 100 every year. And so it's a bit of a throwback to Jay and the Doctor for their show on Triple Day back in the day, 20 years ago now.
Wow.
I guess. So, and I thought since Lindsay there, the Doctor, I mean, that's his name. He's wearing a high-vis vest. So I guess, we've got Ron in spirit there. Ron's probably out wearing a high-vis vest somewhere telling everyone he's a doctor at the moment. So
probably.
There we go.
Remember they had an album too called High Vis High Tea.
Maybe they want to come on.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and they also played the NoFX final shows in Australia last year as well. So
you know what they'd probably like, and I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe to make a shirt for us. A little more. Maybe we do a high vis vest that they help design. Because I got to tell you what we need. It's more merch.
it's
not enough. Aren't you a merch store with a podcast problem?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, though, Ben, I ordered a fuck ton of merch about 2 weeks ago.
You're welcome.
Haven't got any of it yet.
Well, Timu's busy.
Look, it's all going to be really small, like Ron's slides. Is this a merch store for ants?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I'll if my slides don't fit, I'll bring you a spare pair, Ben.
Yeah, killer. What's you're getting a tattoo, Dave? Is that right?
Yeah, today, yeah, in an hour or so. But the segment's not called Who's Getting a Tattoo, right? It's who's got a new tattoo. So I'm
just adding a little build up to it.
Yeah, calm down. Ben, what's going on behind you?
That's a band called Hellscape. A very small, maybe not listened to a whole lot band. Pretty hardcore.
They look
Good
like a
description
ska band.
of. They're not a ska band. No, they're the real deal. Ron would like them, but he's not here, so I'm just gonna assume he would. Ron's out with. I don't know what we should start a story with why he's out. Sort of
Does anyone really care?
Knuckle? No, I don't know.
He's traveling on a Sunday, just working for the man. Yeah.
For a while. For a little while still.
There's some football on today. There's some football on.
Yeah.
Are the Eagles getting it done?
Yeah, they're getting it done.
Yeah.
They're getting it done.
Awesome.
Well, boys, what are we we've done even less prep than normal.
No, well, it's guest choice. Like I sent a message to Josh and said, What do you want to talk about? Maybe we could
he's standing in for Ron, so it's like whatever songs you know. Josh, that's
we'll play
what we play.
How good are you on Guitar Hero, Josh?
Oh no, awful.
Yeah, good. Ron's a legend, but we very rarely hear anything of it. So
it's because he just walks around going, "Oh, but there's no left-handed guitars, so I can't show you guys what I can do."
That guy, a lot of excuses.
A lot of excuses.
Sorry, Ron. So, Josh, what are we talking about?
I actually didn't come with a topic. I was just going to generalize with you guys. And what are you seeing in industry at the moment? Like, what's new and changing that you're seeing in the landscape outside of politics? But what are you guys seeing within your clients? Because I'm starting to see moves in some areas, but others are just same old shit that I saw in the 90s and 00. So I just want to get your views without giving too much away with your clients. But like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing moving?
That's a cool topic. All right, well, let's do that. Let's see. Well, let's
it's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Let's see what we can. Let's see.
I don't know. I think
you move in some interesting circles in healthcare and aviation and greatest country in the world. So getting greater by the day.
So much winning. So much winning. We're already tired of winning. We were tired first time. I started out now tired. I think
Biden was
sort
tired.
of across industries, there's more like people hear certain terms. Human and organizational performance would be an example, right? They hear it and they've heard it before, right? So maybe they've read books and they're kind of thinking about safety a little more. I don't in a in a way that is a little more punitive than sort of very old school behavioral safety, which we have not covered yet. Maybe next time when Ron's back. Uh, Behavioral safety. Um, so there's a bit of that, I think, and curiosity in it, and folks sort of trying to nudge that forward. Um, what I'm not seeing is a lot of it really implemented in any successful or meaningful way. So it's a vocabulary change or a familiarity with it, but not a lot beyond that. That has been a shift. Um, and then with that, I think there have been some other companies who have taken that vocabulary, sort of half-assed a little bit of work toward it and said, see, this is all fluffy. Let's go back to sort of just the basic shit we did before. And man, like a really strong resurgence of things like injury rate for me. Like TRIR is making a comeback. And I think maybe in this country that coincides. Josh said you said outside of politics, but we're doing a lot of shit in an old school way right now that maybe wasn't better, but we had experience with. So that's not a big picture for me.
Yeah, I guess I was going to say something similar. I think you can have conversations with senior people in business, um, that are different to conversations you were having about safety 5 or 10 years ago. This whole human-centered leadership and HR are having these really, team orientated organizations and values based cultures and inclusivity and all of these things. Well, maybe not in the US now that diversity and inclusion isn't a thing anymore. But
We've
there's all
deleted
these
it.
things going on like in leadership circles and like lead with heart and things like that. So I hear a different conversation in organizations, but then when you set foot on site, which I know you don't do that much, Ben, but Josh is someone who
Some of us
Josh
do.
is
some of
Josh
us,
is there.
Josh is, Josh. um, but it's the same. Like and I mentioned your views, Josh, because I guess you see the interactions with clients and interactions with people in the field. So how the head of safety in the organization is talking about safety and how the site superintendent is applying safety. Those worlds aren't really colliding for me, or maybe they are colliding. I don't know. So I don't know. Hearing some good conversations, but not really seeing much.
Yeah. We I mean I'm mainly in the mining environment, but there's a stronger push towards that critical risk management, which it's been around in some circles for a long, long time, but it's just becoming more and more. But with that, we're seeing that companies are thinking that that's the be all end all, and that as soon as you identify your controls, those controls are perfect, etc. So we're seeing that. We are seeing more clients taking away TRIF. Like I spoke to a client the other day, and I just said, "Oh, do you make these recordable injury frequency rates and that one of the priorities in your site?" And she's like, "No, we're taking down the TRIF board at the front gate like today, because we're starting to realise the impact and everything." So that was huge from that client. The other thing I guess I'm seeing as well is probably using the term operational excellence a bit more, like that it is about operations, and it's about learning from operations. It's about making operations better and not just focusing on just safety. But I'm still seeing the same old hands and fingers shit and short-term trips, slips and falls. I'm still seeing that in clients. And I'm not saying it's not important, but when it's your only focus and I see, for me, it's still that strong link with bonuses. Mining just can't seem to get rid of it. That, okay, we need to reward safety performance somehow so everyone makes it important, but they tie that to bonuses and they don't know what that is, so they make it about counting. That's why it's about like the number of audits, the number of fucking whatever. That it's like my industry
You
cannot
had me
seem
at
to rid
audits,
itself.
Josh.
It is
Everybody
true.
knows
It
I
is
fucking
drooling.
love them. Yeah.
Like
fucking
we
love them.
made it. I made a strong push with my board and my CEO, and we removed TRIF from the bonus structure. And one of the states here put forward a serious injury frequency rate, which is based on hospitalizations. So you can't fucking hide that, right? Because the doctor goes, he needs to be an inpatient because of this. The injury's that bad. So we've tied our bonus structure to serious injury frequency rate. And it really makes a difference of our leadership team's focus on like critical risk management and actually improving normal work, because that's where the shit happens.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, I don't mind that. I don't mind having targets against serious injuries or fatalities and things like that. Because hey, at the end of the day, you want a target to mean something, and you want it to drive decisions, actions, discussion in the organization. So if you're discussing what are the things that can really fuck people up, and how do we know we're controlling those things, then great. And someone gets a cut finger, you go man up and put a band-aid on and get back to work. Like, fucking, it wasn't that bad.
Dave's a lover of zero, so
Like,
that's
but, it's like when your child comes in with a grazed. Oh, my kids are learning to skateboard, right? And Ben, you'll be happy about this.
yes.
And so, daughter goes, "Hey, Dad, watch this," right? And just charges off down the hill. Can't ride a skateboard, but I'm like, "Oh, let's see how this goes." Anyway, so it goes inside, like skin off on the leg. Like, get back out there. Like, you don't learn to do things if you
Get
don't.
the other one.
Yeah,
Gotta
you
even
still
that
got
thing
another
out,
leg.
man.
It's not that bad. But yeah, I think Josh, the thing that I've always been impressed by, the way that your team and your company's kind of approach this is actually helping different roles in the organizations with what they can actually do differently. And so going back to my conversations, it's easy to say, here's 5 hot principles and let's do a workshop and do this. And then you've got old mate, rig manager or someone who's back on site the next day going, okay, so what do I do? And if you haven't given people things to do, different conversations to have, different things to focus on, different things to do, then what do you expect them to do? They'll do what they've always done, right? Because nothing's different. And I think we miss that in a lot of our discussions around contemporary safety, is that we miss helping people enroll with, what does this mean for you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. or whatever? How do you have a toolbox talk if you want to have a toolbox talk that's, along the lines of what we're talking about here? Fair to say, because I know you spent, a lot of time on the ground trying to help people with what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, what we've learned, we've had a few clients reach out to us and just go like, yes, we practice the HOP principles, right? That was our choice. You and I'll probably talk a bit more about that with you later, Dave. But we chose the HOP principles more aimed at our leaders, right? And when we rolled that through with our supervisors, they were just like, okay, so what the fuck do you want me to do with this now?
Yeah.
And it was a very, we just want you to support the language more than anything else. When we send out an after event learning, and you'll see why we use the language we do, and we talk about, error traps and latent conditions, etc. Like, what those are now, so that when you're having conversations with your team in the field, just support the language. So that's probably been our drive, and to use that around our clients. So when we're talking about clients, just say, hang on a minute, the conditions were this in this event. He's not a fucking bad worker. So we've been trying to move more and more of our clients just through the way that we're talking and interacting with them. Sometimes, Ben, we get smashed and go, you're not taking safety seriously, get him on a fucking window, in a plane, goodbye. So sometimes it's a really fine line. So I said to my boss, like, fuck, man, I think I've taken it too far, and I'm always about, conditions and work, etc. But when an individual's involved, really seeing it through their view and why it made sense to them at the time. Yeah. I don't know where the fuck I was going with that.
No, well, I think it's like,
well, some of that language though is important, right? And I think I was having a discussion with was a sort of large team of supervisors and leaders, managers at an organization
big time.
working.
How big? Like 1,000 people or something? Do they pay you for that?
No. No. All right. It ish. I mean, for Dave, this would be small. For someone in my tier 7,
Yeah.
it felt like a big group. Um, but that was it, right? The sort of the discussion a lot of times during the breaks was, man, this is really cool. It's easy to agree with. Um, Sort of fundamentally, it makes sense that we shouldn't just fire every fucking person. Um, but now what do you want us to do? And that was sort of the focus was really around, look, we really just have to kind of push some of this as thinking so that it's not the first time everyone is hearing about it. One of the things that has been, and I don't know if this is political or people just feel better about it, but man, we're dealing with a lot of just rule based or law based punishment. So something happens and it is encoded into local or municipal or even higher law. And you talk about all these cool ideas and you go, well, I don't know, dude, you went past that line. So we have to fire you. And you say, right, but weren't we just talking about, conditions and how things look to me at work? And I was really trying to do this thing. You, oh yeah, man, it's awesome. We learned a shitload from you. Enjoy unemployment. And that's been, I think that has gone up for me in a few different industries, which is
And
tough, man.
I think the way
Because
that
how do
you
you do
said,
that?
I think the way you said it sounds good. It's easy to agree with. Um, I speak to a few people occasionally, not very often, but in Josh's industry, um, and you can cruise through the hot principles, and then you hit blame fixes nothing, and then you're there for like the next 2 hours, right? You're like, what do you mean
Yep.
it's okay? But I think just you mentioned politics there, Ben. Maybe the first thing you should do in your organization if you're implementing HOP is to give yourself like you know the ability to issue like executive orders or pardons
Yeah.
for people, right? Which is like so you just go the boss comes along and goes, I'm firing this person. You go, oh, not while I'm in
Yeah,
office.
no, no. Rule of law, pardons. We're gonna yell about both of them and do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Hey, yeah. So look, I don't know. I think Josh.
Uh,
I think it's I think there is points in this where you need to um get people over that hard hurdle, right? And this is I think the challenge. Like I know in my last time I had a real job, I tried really hard with the leader to say what they said. Like I asked the question, what can I do to help kind of this go, and I to keep moving. And I was like, what I want you to do is go out to the organization and say, um, anyone who ever finds himself in a situation where they haven't been able to, or they made a mistake, or they didn't follow one of our safety rules, while I'm the CEO, no one's ever going to be penalized for that, right? That's at least 51% on us. We put you in that situation. We train you. We set the work procedure. We set the schedule. We buy the equipment. And you may forget to do something, or you may, cut a little corner because you got, these other demands and goals or whatever. But, we just want to understand that so that, if you've done it, no one else can do it. And he was still like, yeah, but what about if I say that, then what about if there's this one person who, does something reckless or whatever? And I go, well, he just gets fired for being a dickhead, right? Or something. But I think
right.
there's this,
But not for reporting.
but it was this idea.
That's the difference,
The thing that I found in this idea that businesses want to manage for this lowest common denominator, like they want to manage for this like safety net of things, right? And it really prevents the vast majority of your workforce just getting on and delivering value for the organization, right, in a safe way. And I think that comes to this, like, oh, we got to get rid of that person, we got to do this. It's just this lowest common denominator type thing. I don't know. That's how I think about it a bit.
That's exactly
I
why
get
Dave
crazy.
doesn't have a real job anymore.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why I don't.
man, I get crazy, non-plausible shit thrown at me on a drill rig. Like a client will be doing an audit and will go, oh, but what if a person came out of like the bush and like came onto the drill rig and did this, or what if one of our people came to your drill rig and did, and you just go, well, fuck, it's not reality. Like it's not plausible. So we're seeing as well, like almost creating these fictional things that could happen just to like, okay, let's put up another bit of flagging tape. Let's put up another bit of plastic chain to stop the lunatic from the bush.
No, you guys like cones better, don't you?
Oh.
Some fucking cones.
Josh is
always need more cones.
Josh is drilling in Area 51 or something, right? It's like
it is, yeah.
There?
But it's funny with that rule thing, right? Because I had a massive conflict this week. I know you guys don't mind me sharing this story, but I had and I don't think the client will as well because I won't identify where it is. But we had a vehicle. The rule is that if you're underground, only one vehicle can pass a truck. And in this case, one vehicle went through, and my guys, they didn't really tailgate, but they thought that they got a signal from the truck that they could go past as well. And just as they were about to pull out, go past the truck pulled out in their way. So it was a near miss, right? So talking to my team, I was just like, "Oh, dude, you know, you're not meant to tail another car. Trucks have got right away, etc." And they were just like, there was absolute congestion on the radio. No one could get through with each other. What we'd seen all day is truck drivers were waving cars through. They were using flashing lights. No one was using positive communication in the mine because I wouldn't say it was chaos, but it was organized chaos just because they usually have one decline go into the mine and then an incline coming out, and they're one-way traffic. But in this case, the decline was closed, so there was lots and lots and lots of traffic. But this person was actually removed from sight because the rule was positive communication with the truck to go past. And I was just like, in this case, I get that rule, but they are in our system of absolute chaos and making do. And there's other people in this mine not making positive communication and doing exactly the same thing. But we'll set an example with this guy not to do it that way.
I'm gonna have a guess. Potentially the same organization, potentially the same site. I'm just guessing. But a rule around same thing, driving around on the surface, light vehicle, maintenance vehicle, crossing a haul road, and the thing is POSCOMs, and I can see for like a kilometer in either direction, and radio's noisy. I can see the truck. I've got to literally go 20 meters. I've got to just cross this haul road. Failure for positive comms. And it's like, you want me to sit there for 30 minutes until there's a break in the radio so that I can actually call a haul truck driver that I can see 750 meters away, traveling at 10 kilometers an hour or something. Like, fuck. Like, and I know that margin gets smaller and smaller, and what starts as 700 meters, which is like, I guess, I don't know, 650 yards, man. But it gets smaller and smaller. But there's got to be a point, right, where you just say, like, we haven't set people up to be successful. I think that's where the whole operational learning piece is really valuable, right? Like, where we started this conversation about what's new in industry. I'm still not seeing. I guess I'm hearing talk about a fascination with operational work in the business and what that looks like and the messy reality, but I'm not seeing too many organizations really lean in. I guess as much as you have, Josh, with with what you've been doing.
I know we're one of the ones that use learning.
I almost said it, but
I'll say we use learning team inks like the 4Ds, and it's almost like Trump speech. It's like, we're going to learn more. No, stop the learning. No, we're going to learn more. We're going to learn in underground. We're going to learn on surface. We're going to learn like, there's too much learning. Make it stop. No,
make learning great again, Josh.
make learning great again. The thing with the operational learning that we found is there is a focus by our operations guys on plant. It's on the equipment and on the tools. And it's like, this is shit. And you give us this and you ask us to put this thing under a drill rig and it doesn't even have handles to help us. So, we're seeing more operational learning as well, but it's sometimes the volume, Dave, is too much. And I think that's why some businesses don't do it, because they might do it in pockets and have specific business improvement areas. But when you make it about everyone, like the volume that comes in can be crazy. And we're a small business.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, on one side of learning is learning, so what, right? learning should better equip people to do their role, and learning should lead to change in the organization, right? To better support, more broadly, people in their role. And we see a lot with learning teams and all of the other processes around that. And then you go, so what have you done out of all this learning you've been doing? And the answer is kind of like, oh, well, we've done 17 learning teams for every 100,000 hours of work or something.
Oh, no.
But I think just focus, like you said, Josh. Like we're seeing organizations go, okay, the next quarter, we just want to learn as much as we can about equipment, like
That's cool.
equipment on drilling rig, right? And so we're just going to focus on this. What don't we know? What do we need to do? What do we need to change? What are all the local kind of like adaptations and workarounds? And go, okay, we're gonna spend 3 or 6 months, and we're gonna just really align and understand this aspect of our business. And that can trigger from whatever, trigger just from frustration, or trigger from an event or something like that. But this whole bounce around learning, I don't think helps us any more than just bouncing around from incident investigation to incident investigation.
Yeah, our board really wants to know themes. So I guess that's one thing to share with the audience, is that they when we originally were sharing these 4D workplace insights, it was just like, fuck, like what's this, too much. And then they really honed in on like, what's the theme so that we can release capital and work on those types of drill rigs, or is it always that supplier that causes this? So let's work on that. So that's been pretty useful as well.
So if we're talking about what's new, and there's not a lot, I think people say, well, I think the consensus was sort of people are more familiar with some newer ways of thinking, but they're kind of skeptical or struggling the other way. So, let's say we had a call-in show. We don't, because this is fucking amateur stuff, Josh. But if we did, and people called in, and there may be where you found yourself 9 years ago at Mitchell, sort of walking into this thing with a lot of possibilities. What should they do first? Make learning great again. I think such a good name for an episode.
I know you've only got the 5 listeners, and
now that you're on the show,
now we've dropped numbers,
and Ron's not calling in, so yeah.
David, I know it's a funny thing, man. Like, there's 2 things here. One is, you called it out, right? Don't be fucking lazy. Like, one thing I found when I
don't encourage him.
No, but
Josh,
when I started with Mitchell's, right, it was the same old. I thought that this is how you did safety, and what we need to do is have another checklist, and they didn't get it. But learning about this different way of applying safety, like, you've got to put the effort in and do a bit of reading and watch a few webinars. And like, I'm not a reader and I don't want to read about fucking safety stuff outside of work. Well, making that little bit of time to understand where these changes have come from. That's what changed me. It was a couple of podcasts, reading a couple of papers, reading
not
a couple
of podcasts, to be clear.
Holy shit. Because Dave writes a lot of papers, right? So,
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So much writing. So much writing.
So much writing. But also
so much podcast.
There's a character limit in the show notes, or I'd link them to the show.
I think the other thing too is, like, this has got to be a bit of fun. Like, you've got to be engaging with the front line. You can't do this half-assed and not actually care about the people that you're trying to do this with and for. You got to have a bit of fucking fun. Like, I know this was me, but like, I think your episode 22 was on, can safety be fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 22, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But like,
let's say it was.
Last week I dressed as fucking Batman on the drill rigs, and like, it was a bit of fun, but they're getting it right, because it was like, oh, why the fuck are you dressed as Batman? It's like, oh, we're being curious, and I'm here with someone from another department. We want to know how we make your life miserable, and we also want to know how we can improve it too. Like, where's things dangerous, where's things difficult, etc. So, probably the third thing for me, Ben, I spent a lot of time with the leadership team, like a lot, talking about, hey, when this shit goes down, we got to be better how we outwardly respond. We got to change what we make important in even little things like the monthly leadership team update video that gets sent to, like, what do we make important? Are we talking about stats? Are we talking about gear? Or are we actually showing that we're interested in their work and that we're listening and that we're making changes? And then when an incident happens and, everyone's fucking human, but pulling them in and going, dude, you can't act like this outside of this room. Like, we've got to tone it down. We've got to make these things important. So, yeah, Ben, if anyone called up, that's probably the thing is, read a little and learn about these changes. Have a bit of fucking fun while you do it, and spend a lot of time with leaders, no matter where you are in your organization. Just little bits and pieces. Give them a book, give them a podcast. Just make those changes.
Not this podcast, just to be clear.
Not this
but
podcast.
Other podcasts.
Other podcasts.
Josh, I was thinking about things that are plausible, by the way, and Batman showing up on a rig is a weird one, but also being in a place like in Canada, you don't expect a crocodile, and sometimes.
Oh,
is that just you just wanted to mention Canada because you got an invite to Energy Safety Canada?
Oh, did you finally get an invite?
This is just your way of just
assholes
making a point.
I don't know where you guys are going.
Making a point that I got invited. Look at me. Yeah.
I'm going to take a kangaroo just so I can one up Josh.
Mate, again, that was being a bit of fun. Like, you had 900 people in the room going, "Oh, nice alligator." I'm like, it's a fucking crocodile. I'm from Australia.
Assholes.
So
get your shit together. Yeah.
Pay more attention. If you cared more about Australia, you'd know.
You'd know that was a crocodile.
I think this search for something new, I guess it's just like, get me a better drug, right? Get me a better, harder drug, right? It's like a bigger high. And when you
better, harder drug.
But it's like
we can get that on the internet here.
And maybe that's why people go, ooh, learning teams and like all these things, because it's just, a bigger, fancier thing that, gives you a bigger hit or something. But at the end of the day, like, it's not that fucking hard, right? And there's not much new. It's like, understand the work that your fucking people do. Understand what shapes decisions and actions that they make, and try to create an environment where people can do more of the things that they need to do to make your business successful and keep themselves safe, right? And on top of that, like you said, Josh, like, make sure your leadership teams are sort of saying the right things, setting the right tone in the organization. There's a shirt in the merch store, the Adam Johns white t-shirt, because apparently he doesn't look good in black. But he's talked a lot about language and that. And I think leadership just sets the tone and creates the environment for everyone else to kind of get on and do stuff. And like, maybe why we're struggling to find new things is because, like, the recipe doesn't change. Understand the work, understand why it happens the way that it does, and how you can shape it to be more effective. Like, fucking job done. Now get out there and fucking talk to your people. I don't know.
Yeah,
is that oversimplistic? But I don't think fucking Batman's going to come down from and shine a fucking ray gun or something and then change it. There you go.
Well, but simple's not easy, right?
It looks like a
Dave, and I think
some kind of gift.
I think that's the.
What is that? You do look like you're in a bit of a dungeon there, Josh.
Yeah, it's true.
Make sure you don't turn your background off.
It puts the lotion on its skin. I think it's maybe simple, but it's not easy.
No, it's not
to oversimplify that, right? But when you say part of the reason we look for something new is that it hasn't changed all that much, that it is simple, do these few things. But I think it's simple but difficult to do. It's difficult to do in the midst of all the other pressures that organizations deal with, right? If you're a contractor to another company and they will not let you go on some of these counting exercises, right? You just have to do it. And your leadership team sees that too. And so you're constantly sort of dragging them away from it. And then that thing is pulling.
You don't have to do it.
Well, sometimes we do. Like, they go,
sometimes you have to do.
You need to have XYZ hazard cards done. And then my part in that then is to go, what are they showing and what did we learn from those hazard cards? I don't know. We had 625 last month. That's great. But what did we learn and how did it change work? Yeah, Josh, but we had 625 and we expect 625 next month.
We need 625 so Josh can get a bonus and afford a light bulb.
I just need to send.
That's my part, right? Like you said, some of these clients won't let it go. Okay, cool. I'll show you my thrift, but I'm not going to show my workforce.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Yeah, show me mine. Yeah. They go, oh,
that's
what's
a good point, right?
Here's the numbers, okay, but I don't have to show that to my workforce. I don't have to make that important to them. I'll continue my way, but again, I play 25 different clients, all of them created safety or invented safety. I have to manage around that, but still keep the language that we use in our business the right thing. Operations is king, etc.
So Josh, I'm curious. One of the things when we wrote, well, Drew and I wrote that paper about safety
you
work.
wrote a paper, Dave?
Yeah, no, it was a good paper too. It was actually a pretty good paper.
I mean, they're all. It's hard to pick one to be a favorite.
There's so many.
Okay. Well, I guess there's good and there's great.
Yeah,
but this was
tier one.
One of the, it wasn't tier. We're not tier one, man. Just you can't talk like that. The tier ones will get upset. But we talked about, demonstrated safety work. There's certain things that you need to do to demonstrate safety to other people. And there's stakeholders who have an interest in your business, and where they're regulators or clients or whatever, you need to show them that you're doing enough safety. One of the things that we kind of said with that is actually, what you said there, Josh, which is you can choose about how important that is and how much discussion and airtime that has in your organization. But the other thing I'm curious, we also said to your people to tell them this is a compliance task. This is not what we believe creates safety, and actually help people understand, because this whole problem of, if we say you have to do this for safety and they say it's bullshit, then when we come along and say you have to do this for safety as well, which might be critical risk management, they go, it's just another bullshit safety thing. So do you talk to your people and say, hey, don't piss off? I'm just trying not to get too fired. But do you actually talk to you talk to your people and say, we have to do this on this job. This is what the client expects. We need to do this. It's not going to distract us from all the other stuff. Like, do you have those kind of open conversations with your people?
Yeah, look, what sometimes there's double up of processes, Dave. So I will counter back and go, look, I still want you to do what we do, which is like our own critical risk management and our own operational learning. And if the client asks you to do 6, I'll wind my back so that you only have to do 1 or 2. So I understand that increases workload for you, but I'm not going to expect you to do more of my stuff on top of that. So I have to play that as well. But Dave, I can't be too negative. Like, if the client's got something in place and that has to be done, then yeah, what do I need to help you get this done? Is probably the best thing. Like, that some of the organizations expect you to go out and do field discussions, and I just say, hey, whenever my safety team's on site, they'll go and do that with you, so you don't have to like.
And why do you think I'm dressed like fucking Batman anyway?
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the fun of it, right? Is sometimes those things that are required, the people that are asking you for that they're being asked in their organization and don't know how to have that conversation. So yeah. I think where it gets fun, well, it's fun to me anyway, is now you're sort of helping each other out, right? It's mutual. You go, dude, look, I know you got to get this. Let's fucking do it. But let me tell you how I talk to our folks, my leadership team, so we don't have to do this shit anymore. And if I show you some of this, dude, copy it, use it, run it up in your chain of command. And now if I can make my workforce's life a little easier, Josh, by what you said, let's wind our shit back. We're doing this for them. It's sort of learning the same thing. Can I make someone else's life a little better that we're working with? And I think that's where the new and changing things come from. But at least in this country, and I don't get a good pulse on sort of job mobility in a lot of other places. And I think the bravery is a big part of that, because it's not as easy to find a job as it was a few years ago. I think, and Ron will know this really soon. But when you're out of work, and maybe Josh,
well, we're
when you're out of work, right?
We're sending Josh to Papua New Guinea basically anyway, along with a football team. So
perfect. So I think, that maybe that's what stagnates some of this too, is it's a little bit scary to have those conversations. You don't want to lose a job in a market where it kind of sucks to find another one.
But I think your industry is interesting, and maybe this is different to aviation and healthcare because I don't understand the business dynamics in some of those industries. But in your industry, Josh, I'm curious at the executive level about the connection about how having a reputation in an increasing reputation in industry as a contractor who seems to be, we don't really know whether all the stuff you talk about at conferences is actually going on in your organization or not.
Oh,
but assuming yeah, I know, assuming some of it's actually happening, are you starting?
Kick the fucking tire. It's there, man. I promise you.
All right, I'll go. Invite me. But like
he'll go if you don't invite him. It's fine.
Connection because your industry at least says it really, really wants to be a safe industry, and and you guys have been going pretty well. I guess in terms of getting new work and a bit more work. Yep. Is that connection happening with safety, or is that just sort of parallel tracks, or like what are your executives? Because there's a thing that you talk about is when at what point in time does doing safety well translate broader in the business?
Yeah.
Okay, we are varying clients, so we've got tier 1 clients down to
sure. No, we're familiar.
Down to tier 7. Yes.
to junior explorers.
Ben, none of those clients are your clients, mate.
Nope.
No. I think, Dave, that because we can show a lot more independence, that we're always improving our own operations and learning from operations. We've got some really good systems in place that we actually use and don't just fucking do in the name of safety, because we have actually looked at it and gone, okay, these things will make this difference and control this risk, so let's keep doing those and switch all this other shit off. Because we can show clients that what we're doing is working and having an impact in terms of they go, okay, so what are you seeing an improvement in your TRIF? And it's like, no, I know lots more shit that goes on my drill rigs, and I've made these improvements, and we've changed work, and we've put these higher level controls in as a result of conversations. What we're seeing is they've got a bit more confidence that we can run independently, Dave. Like they don't need to hire a new safety person just to watch us as
just a babysit you.
Yeah, we just give a bit more confidence that what we do and the conversations we have and what the leadership team make important, you can actually come on and drill a hole and don't need to be babysat.
Well, that's that operational excellence you were talking about too, right, Josh?
Yeah.
When it gets more embedded in that, I at least I see the approaches to safety. I think you said you've got 25 clients. They've all invented safety, right? So
Sorry,
it's hard to argue. But no. Look, it's true, right?
It's just they all do safety differently, and they all.
Oh, that's right.
And Josh comes along and goes, "I drilled a hole. It's filling with water."
Well done, Doug.
It's a good way to say it. And
how much you want?
And when you get a little bigger picture to operational excellence, maybe there's fewer disagreements as to what in the hell that means. It's sort of like people are pretty well aligned with what operational excellence is. So when you have that conversation, maybe, I don't know, do you see that less or easier to make that case, right? That you could just leave me alone. I don't need as much supervision.
Yeah, I'll be doing this. And the big thing is that we're very transparent, and we're transparent with industry. We'll share shit on LinkedIn about fuck ups on our drill rigs and just say, hey, we learnt these things, but it was all about conditions, and we changed the work, and we were doing this, and they were short of these tools, so they were making do, and that's why it's made sense. So I think it's actually showing that we're a little bit humble and we make fuck ups, but we're trying to get better as well, and that makes us relatable as well, Ben. That it's not all shiny and it's not all flashy, and it's not like there's a reason you bring us on, because you don't want to do that risk, and we're good at it, so just let us go and do it.
So I think Josh, I'm curious. Oh, sorry, Ben.
Well, I was going to say, I think when people hire other organizations, they know that it's not shiny. And I think they say they want to see the evidence, right? That it is like everything is perfect and the numbers are low. But I think it is relieving, right, to have that conversation to go, look, dude, you know everybody's fucking up. We're just talking about it with you.
Uh,
And we have fewer fuck ups because we're really focused on
And
yeah.
my trip is higher than that mob because I don't have to put
because I
on
quit
climbing.
lying.
I don't have to put climbing gear on to get over the fucking rug that you've swept everything under. But I've got less hours, so they're not comparable. Except like just having those braver conversations with clients as well to go, what does that matter? Like, let's focus on these things.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'm interested in then one what was I going to say? One comment, and then I'll ask you a question, Josh. But this idea that the standard that clients hold their contractors to is not the standard that they're operating their own companies. Like it's like as if they don't fucking look in their own backyard, right? They just expect these
It's like
contractors
Ron not listening to the podcast.
completely, yeah, well, perfect. But Josh, I don't think I've asked you this before, but you mentioned your organization, you got about 1,000 people, right? You probably know most of the operational managers, most of the supervisors, lots of direct communication with them, and maybe able to throw your arms around the business a little bit to some extent.
Not inappropriately.
Nah, inappropriately as well.
Oh, yeah. See the fucking mask that he put on before? Like, I wouldn't be forming any. So if you're not watching the YouTube version, you're missing out. Josh in a sort of a hybrid Batman gimp suit. But like if some of your clients have got like 80,000 people in their organization and more, right? Or would you how would you approach it if you were the new head of safety? And I'd probably recommend to any of your 25 clients to hire you as their new head of safety. But when you lose this job, you can go get one of them. But would you do it the same way, or would you do it differently if you couldn't kind of like touch and feel the operation as closely?
Yeah, you've pulled me up about this before because that's just the personality type I've got as well, like just quite open. And if I was to walk into another organization answering your question, I'd spend a lot more time with the leaders again. Even Conklin says, I've got 3 hours, I'll spend 2.5 hours with the leaders. So it's really about the leaders and that messaging. Sorry?
Tier 1.5.
Tier 1.5.
Depends who you ask.
1+.
And one of the first things I know, I'd change investigations. That's one of the first things that I would aim at is how are we doing our investigations, and is it really about learning what language is used? Are we looking at normal work as part of the investigation? That's probably what I would jump on first, Dave. If I was to move into another organisation, lots of time with leaders and hone in on investigations first. I know investigations make up a small portion of work, but if you got to go slow to go fast, is what I say to my operations guys. Go slow to go fast. Get everything right, and then the meters will come. That's what I would do.
Before he dresses up as the Riddler.
Just meters. Just TD, mate, all day.
Meters,
all day TD.
Meters.
Just I think that's really important though, because if you think about it, I like the leadership piece. Just how much can I get the leadership team to align and echo and be consistent in the tone they're setting for the organization, the language they're using. And I think when incidents are a great opportunity. Well, I mean, great, I don't know. But that's the opportunity, right? Shit's gone down in the business, and now we're in a live conversation about safety. This is where the organization sees what do we think creates safety, what do we think causes problems in the organization, what and who. And I think you can do a huge amount just by changing that. And I say to organizations a little bit, it's like the safety incident investigation process is probably your only safety process that you have, that safety has 100% control over, right? Like risk has probably got a risk department, and comms has got a comms department, and other things. So like nothing stops a safety person from tomorrow just saying, "Oh, I've decided we're going to change the way we do safety investigations." Like sack up if you're not a sort of safety person who's prepared to go, "I'm just going to change this." Because and talking about what's new, fucking lazy. Talking about what's new, organizations are doing investigations the same way they were in the 90s or the 80s when we adopted stuff out of places. Like we still see people, no, you go stand in that room At the moment, I'm interviewing this witness, and you go over here and write your statement. And no, I will speak to you when I'm ready to speak to you. Thank you very much. It's like we're not police officers and lawyers anymore. Like, just calm down. So,
Dave, we've actually added to our event learning reports now. This report has been reviewed and approved by those involved in the event.
Awesome.
So I put that on the cover page of the report so it stands out that the people involved in the event were actually involved in the investigation as well.
Yeah. How good?
How fucking hard is it?
Oh, so I didn't say it was hard. Everyone else.
Jesus.
But it comes back like, about
calm down, Josh.
Calm down.
All right.
That spending time with leaders, again, it comes back to, if you're that health and safety person, read about this stuff. Go and understand about what is HROs. What are these hot principles? Where did safety differently come from? Like, spend a bit of time, understand it yourself so that you can frame it when you ask these tricky questions.
Yeah.
Is that... I feel like that was the mic drop.
I think that's the and that's the song, that's the episode title, right? Which is Punch in the Face.
Perfect.
How about that one for you, Joshie? Happy with that?
Love it.
There you go, Ben. Go to Spotify and just listen to Frenzal Rhomb Punch in the Face. All right, there you go. And
done.
By yourself up.
I got my homework
on a Sunday evening while you're thawing out a few hoses.
It just sounds like more fun than it is. It's not even a metaphor. It's just real. Thawing out hoses.
Any
Josh,
words?
Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Appreciate the opportunity. Cool. I look up to you both dearly, and
do
appreciate.
You want to,
tell you what,
invite Ron back.
That's because I'm tall. Just let's not mistake it. That's just because I'm tall.
I do listen to your podcast on the way to work, and I have pissed myself so many times. Like, there's some cracking one-liners. So yeah, fuck safety, make money.
Absolutely.
I expect that
take that to
t-shirt
the bank.
next time.
Get some slides.
We'll get you another sticker, Josh, to struggle with on the laptop.
I can't believe I had to phone punk rock safety support to understand how to put a sticker on my laptop.
Take those. I almost made that mistake, and then I broke a sticker trying to get it off, and then I think I got third time lucky with putting the old PRS stickers on.
I cannot believe you're not tier 1 after
I'm hoping the PRS tattoo goes a bit better today.
Me too.
All right.
Sweet, boys.
Thanks, dudes. Later.
Solved it.
Let's do it again.
Solved it.